Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name's Faheem.
And my name is Nelly J, y'all. And we are good
That's
rookies.
right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's episode 98.
98.
Bruh. 98 for him. This is madness. So, y'all, as you know, we're approaching that number. But today, before we even get there, we have a phenomenal guest, someone that you're going to love. Okay. Fahim, please introduce who we got.
All right. So tonight's a big one. We have someone what we consider family. This is going to definitely, when we get to For the Culture, be a great time to highlight not just what he's done in the past, but what he's got coming up in the future. So let's welcome Ray Harripaul to the podcast today.
Ray.
Y'all always give the best intros, and it's been consistent for 98, and I can't wait to see it just continue. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you doing, Ray? How's it going, man?
I am excited to be here. I am very excited. I met y'all on Clubhouse, and this is where we are now. Isn't that amazing? During the pandemic.
Honestly, it's crazy. I feel like I've known you forever because like your personality, just how we vibe, it's like natural.
Yeah.
So, but I met you. It's funny. I met you in another room, and then it was like, oh, you're from Toronto. Oh, shoot! Like what? Oh, after fan club's happening. It's crazy how things kind of just come to play. So it's just really good to have you on the podcast, and we get to highlight you more, of course, for the culture. I guess my question for you, Ray, is that we talk about you being a creator, content creator, all the amazing things that you do. What was it like during a pandemic? Being a creator, because I'm curious to know for creators like yourself, like did your vision shift? Was there new ideas that came up? Like, was it a time for you to create more? Do you feel like walk us through that process as a creator yourself?
That's a dope question, and thank you for asking that. And actually, I was coming out of like a 5-year slump. Like I was Danny Green for 5 years straight after like beyond the 3-point arc. Mad love to the champ Danny Green, but like, come on, bro, make those threes. And so the pandemic was perfect because it allowed me the time to refocus and reshape this vision that I have. And this is where I am today. So, I started off as, trying to dabble in any and everything. And now I'm more focused and niched in and wanting to work with brands like yourselves and obviously others in the future. But it definitely gave me the time, that commodity that I thought, it always felt like I never had enough of. So I'm appreciative of the pandemic and what that afforded me. And so my space is a reflection of where I am today. And I don't think former Ray would have been on well, I would have been, but not as participatory on like a Clubhouse app. And here I'm so happy that, we were able to connect and the phenomenal work that you two have been doing on that platform and then taking it. I mean, I'm going to give you both your flowers for what you've done in the amount of time, right? Like 98 consistent weeks. And one of the things like during, pre-pandemic was I enjoyed, podcast creation. And so, I dabbled in podcast consulting and during the pandemic, you would get little nibbles, if you would. And just to see the amount of, I know how much work it goes into because for my employer, I've created one called the Work Shift Podcast. And so, there's time and commitment and energy that goes into it. And so I so appreciate getting the opportunity to have a conversation and then just have you all as family. So this is dope.
Wow. I mean, hey y'all, this is why we're gonna highlight him for the culture. Fahim, let's get into some hot topics, bro.
All right. So something happened this past week that just kind of blew my mind. The NBA draft had just also last week happened. And I saw I still can't wrap my head around this. The NBA has had many MVPs from a variety of different schools. Two of the most, I'd have to say, top 5 in regards to popular basketball college programs, being the University of Kentucky and the University of Duke. Two blue chip organizations and schools have never produced an NBA MVP. I mean, I've never led a topic with "that's absurd," but it almost feels very "that's absurd-ish." How is it that nobody from Duke or University of Kentucky in the history of the NBA draft has ever been an MVP? How did that happen?
Wow, that's a tough
How did we get
question.
here?
How did we get
Okay.
here? Deborah Cox, sorry, guys.
I don't have like that was dope though. Nelly J, you need to share more of your singing. But I think I'm gonna say this here. That I think it'll be RJ Barrett to break that curse.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
Or
Guys,
Zion.
if you're listening,
Zion.
our jaw has dropped, y'all. Dropped.
Zion or RJ in the coming future.
Okay.
And that's pending Zion's health. And I know that's like that could potentially be absurd. But I think RJ has the capabilities. And I, as a Laker fan, obviously love Toronto, but as a Laker fan, I am disappointed in Anthony Davis.
Mhm.
I'm gonna keep it a buck, you know. Maybe if he shaved his unibrow, he may get a bit more buckets, respectfully. But all jokes aside, yeah, Anthony Davis was a major disappointment because he was earmarked to be the next thing, and it never happened, and I don't think it will, to be honest, because I think he's plateaued. Not to knock on Anthony Davis, but as a Laker fan, I'm gonna at somebody, and it's gonna be him.
Ooh.
Because he was supposed to be the one that Braun conditioned to eventually take over. And when you have a poor diet, how serious are you, right? But that aside, I think RJ will be the one to break the slump for both those blue collar or blue chip universities, as Faheem said.
I just think that those schools aren't like, I think college basketball and programs like Kentucky and Duke, I just think that they are really good at recruiting high school players. And just leave it at that. Like their job isn't to recruit NBA players. Like their job is to recruit guys that will help them be successful in college. And we all know that a lot of college players do not make it to the NBA. Their talent, their skill set do not translate well in the NBA. So I was kind of shocked though, because I think Duke has had 5 number 1 draft picks in the NBA draft. 5, I think Kyrie, 5, y'all can count it up, but I believe it's 5. So to have 5, number 1 picks and none of them becoming an MVP, that to me is more absurd. Like having, you know what I'm saying? Like to me, having like, I guess having, players at your school, it is what it is. But to me, if you're having number 1 draft picks, then I think one of them should at least become an MVP. You would think, right? We know what Kyrie's story, so Zion, like these guys, I mean, Zion's story can mention Zion maybe in the future, but it's just something where, it is surprising. I won't say absurd though, only because these recruiters, these scouts are looking for talent to help them be successful in college. And college basketball isn't played the same way as the NBA. What they look for, what they're looking to gain in college isn't the same. NBA is more stardom, more, just more, it's more stardom driven league, whereas college is more follow the system, follow the rules, and you do well. So that's why I'm not gonna knock them, but it is kind of surprising though for him. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go a real quick list of some of the players that have been, say, lottery players from Kentucky. So Bam Adebayo, Eric Bledsoe, Devin Booker, DeMarcus Cousins, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox,
none of them,
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Maxey, Malik Monk, Jamal Murray, Julius Randle, Karl-Anthony Towns, John Wall. And those are just the current players. You have some past players from
Kyrie Irving, but again,
right.
Faheem, all those guys you named.
Kyrie's at Duke actually.
Duke players, Kentucky,
Kentucky.
Yeah, but Fahim, I'm sorry, but which player do you think should have been MVP? The question is the guy that you're listed out just now. Does anyone you think will be MVP in the NBA? Like, are they?
I would think that coming in, Anthony Davis early out, you would have thought Anthony Davis
True.
had
That's
that kind
true.
of potential. DeMarcus Cousins at one point, when you could say he was one of the best centers in the league. There's a window in regards to MVP. Sometimes MVP doesn't necessarily mean you're the best player sometimes.
Yeah.
So but yeah, of this list, there's definitely a lot of talent. Maybe not a lot of them you would say have MVP talent. As I go over the Duke, same thing. Yeah. Ray, you got RJ Barrett, Seth Curry, Brandon Ingram, decent player. Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, Gary Trent
Hold
Jr.
up. You said Brandon Ingram's decent. You love Brandon Ingram. What's happening, y'all? What is happening?
We're doing it in context
he's
of
decent. You bro, you love. Listen, y'all. Faheem, love him. Some Brandon Ingram. Okay.
I do.
If we tell Faheem, Pascal, or Brandon, he said, "Tell me Bi." Yes.
Oh
Send
yes,
me
yes.
I'm with Faheem on that. Pascal Bi. Personally.
Yo, Faheem, what? So I'm like, decent. Who's this guy today?
No, just because we are talking in the context of NBA MVP.
Yeah.
And I don't, as much as I love, I can't really, that might be a stretch, So, so with the draft just happening now, you have, say, for instance, new schools like Oregon, pretty much a recent powerhouse over the last 10 years. Prior, really no experience. No one went to Oregon before. Another one, I can think of Gonzaga is another one, recent, not last 10 years. Before that, maybe not. So with the MVP, that's what I'm saying. It's really shocking that Duke and Kentucky go way back. Coach K, Rick Pitino, like they've had great coaches that they can recruit from. And the fact that none's made an MVP, but we do have some schools that have an MVP, such as Davidson. Davidson has an MVP, but Kentucky and Duke don't. And I think that's why, like I said, we
but keep in mind that Davidson player got an offer to go to Duke, right? Was it Duke or the Duke, right? And then he said,
I think you got it right.
Y'all didn't want me. Y'all didn't want me the first year. I'm gonna stay here. Which is why you can't not like this guy, yo. Like he's
which speaks to Steph's loyalty from the jump.
Bro.
Which is why he'll retire, Warrior. And shout out to Steph. Shout out to Steph. 13 seasons, 4 rings. Let's
talk about it. Real quick, boy. Good for him.
Yeah. Not mad at that.
Ain't
Not
mad
mad at that at all. So last thing with this, which I find very interesting, I'm just going to go through some of these schools, the most represented over the last, let's say the last decade. So 2022. Go back to 2000.
Can we guess? Can we guess these schools or no?
Yeah, so watch this. So for the last 10 years, so 2012, 2022, there's an MVP. Which school has the most representation in the last 10 years?
You mean drafted or MVPs? What's the
MVPs? My apologies.
Oh, yes. MVPs. Oh.
Michigan? I'm just throwing
in. Okay. No. I'm going to say, hold up. No. Oh my gosh. It's in my brain and I'm not saying the school. Hold on, Faheem. It's not No, it's not Arizona. No.
The Jayhawks?
Not Arizona. It's oh my goodness. It's bothering me because I see the freaking logo. I don't know the
Describe
name.
it. Describe the logo.
No, hold on. I picked them in my freaking not Duke, not Kentucky. What's the other one? What's the other school that's blue?
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Kansas.
Kansas City.
Jayhawks.
Kansas City is good. Jayhawks is good. But there's another one. It's gonna bother me. Not Michigan either. Not Michigan either. Anyways,
okay,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, let me help you out.
Thank you.
Both we mentioned it. It's Davidson. So it goes in 2012, 2013. LeBron was, and as we know, LeBron didn't go to college.
Yeah.
After that is Kevin Durant. He went to Texas.
Yeah.
Then Steph got the back-to-back, so you got him twice at Davidson. Then Russell Westbrook, who was UCLA.
Yes.
James Harden, who was USC. And in the last 4 years, it's been Giannis, Joker, and they're both
Yeah.
international players. So in the last 10 years, Steph's had the back-to-back MVPs out of Davidson, and that's been the most. Everyone else, actually, there's more in the last 10 years of players that didn't go to college than did, with LeBron with the 2, Giannis with the 2, and Jokic with the 2. So that's 6. So 6 of the last 10 years have been players that didn't even go to U.S. college.
The downfall of the NCAA. Oh boy. I mean, there'll always be a money-making machine, but in terms of being desperate to go there to get to the NBA, that's no longer a thing anymore. People can get there other ways. So
there's alternate routes.
LaMelo Ball, a lot of these. I imagine how many All-Stars, I wonder last season went to college. I'm curious. I know probably the time, but you know.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah. Well, if we're talking All-Stars, definitely both Duke and Kentucky, I'm pretty sure have a lot of representation.
Yeah, they do.
But so Ray, I'm going to ask, going out, did you watch the draft, NBA draft at all just recently?
No, I didn't.
Not really. Okay. Nelly J, we covered a bit of the draft on that night. Anything you want to mention about any rookies that you think potentially may have any sparkle of MVP-ism in them?
MVP is not one rookie for him.
No.
Not one.
Okay.
Not this draft class. I don't see. And again, this is the thing, right? A draft class like this, you look back and go, wow, who would have thought, right? Like, honestly, not one person stood out. I do think there's a lot of Jabari enthusiasts because they felt he should have gone the first pick. I know we saw Chet, great talent. I think he'd be a great role player. Will he be an MVP? No. And of course, what's the other youth that came? That was the number 2 pick. Paulo, number 1 pick, Paulo. I don't think he'll be MVP, but he's someone that, hey, if he works hard, he can. Like at this point, like, you know, we saw like when Luka's class came out or Zion's class, we're like, I remember I was like, yo, Ja's gonna be a star. Like I can tell you who's gonna freaking kill it in the NBA. This draft class, I see a lot of great role third option players, great defenders, rim protectors, but great like overall like a superstar. Or I don't see it yet, but doesn't mean that it's not in there. How about you? Anyone you think could be a star or MVP?
So star, yes.
Okay.
I think Benedict Mathurin, the Pacers picked him up. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely keep my eye on him. He has that dog in him that I like to see.
He's got LeBron. You better have that dog in him.
Right, I did see that. Yeah. So he's been one, but outside of him, I mean, we'll see. I just gotta lay it and see how it plays out. But you know who I do feel has MVP type potential in them? I think we should go for the culture.
Ooh, for the culture. We like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today we get to highlight content creator extraordinaire, entrepreneur, our special guest, Ray Harripaul.
Yeah.
Ray, first of all, we're excited to highlight you for the culture because you're one of the leaders of storytellers in the country. Forget Toronto, in the freaking country. You really help empower a lot of brands, individuals, folks who are looking to push their content and their story forward, not only on their front, but on the major stage. And I think you're someone that really understands and like you're and how to take that story and put it and make sure that it's being told, right? And I think that's a special skill set. So Ray, please walk us through. How did you, a man from Guyana who says, goat curry, not curry goats. How do you become a Guyanese youth becoming one of the top content creators in the city? Go ahead, bro.
That's crazy. I appreciate that. For me, I've always been curious, you know, and I love to explore. It's crazy. Someone will give me an idea and I go off and I'm like, I am so sorry. So I've been pulling back because I always have a tendency to insert myself a little too much. But yeah, for me, it's always been a thing. I've always been, curious. I never really had a sharp attention span growing up. So I remember my first ever science experiment. Mr. Bull Mr. Bull's class. It was mixing colors. Just a simple little thing, but now here I am using color in, in photography or in video work. So it's just everything comes up, and I like I said, using the pandemic to really hone in um, and niche down on the type of service that I wanna deliver, and yeah, it's exciting. And now that I've gotten a sharper, narrow vision with blinders, I really want to get into documentary storytelling. Any and every story needs and should be told. I truly believe that, despite whether you think you're a celebrity or not, because best believe those same celebrities probably have similar come up stories.
Mhm.
So, I've always been interested in biographies, and just I think the best one was Michael Jordan's Driven from Within. I think I read it in 2008 after
Mm,
suggestion by Ian Andre Espinay, if you know that name.
of course, that's my
Um,
bro.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I used to do these cold calls, and he happened to be one of them. And he took my call. And this is a big promoter. Like he's still big. Like he's
He's
epic.
probably one of the forefathers of like black media, black like events in Toronto.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Back in the day.
Pioneer.
He's a pioneer
He's a
for sure.
pioneer. And so to have that opportunity to just, like where do you get I think I asked him, where do you get your inspiration from? And he said, I read biographies. And he's like, the one that he was reading at the time was Driven from Within. So I went to Chapters and I bought it. And, it's one of my favorite ones. I've lent it to my cousin because, he's in that space now where he needs to just refuel his flame. Um, so yeah, that one sort of was the start, the start. Yeah.
No, that's beautiful. And it's funny because it's not funny, but it is kind of funny because typically when we ask guests what inspired them, what drove them to become, who they are, you typically hear things like a family member or, but the fact that you did a cold call, you met someone that just extended their hand and said, "Hey, like here's what I've been doing to be successful." Those small nuggets, people listen, we get advice every day, but a few people, Ray, actually take the advice. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that you actually went and bought the book and actually read it, imagine how many of us get advice a week and don't even actually execute on what they tell us to do. You know what I'm saying? So big up to you for actually even following through and taking that advice seriously, because a lot of people don't do that. So it's really cool. I actually read a really cool biography too. Will Smith. I know Will Smith, the slap, whatever, but his book is amazing. Like I did not know what he's been through at all. And that's why I think a few people were like, oh, like seeing what he did that. I was surprised and I was like, oh man, why? But then I understood because I understood what he's been through and the traumas he's had that kind of led to that moment. And it's like, it's crazy how your past can really, if you don't truly heal, if you don't truly move forward and actually heal from certain things, how a trigger can make you like do the dumbest stuff ever. So I really believe in reading biography because I think it does help you grow as a person. And you're like, wow, I went through that too. I went through that. Oh, I thought it was only me. So that's really dope. In terms of content creation, what would you say is the best, I guess, one of your favorite creators or things that you've seen that you're like, wow, like I gotta get into podcasts or I gotta get into this. Like what was that thing that you saw that you knew that it's a
Uh,
sign?
okay, so part of my story too, I worked for Ontario basketball for a short stint, and in that time, I had the opportunity to sit down with Akil Augustine, and I think it was from that day forward. I didn't realize it, but he's become this big brother, older mentor figure, and yeah, it was in that experience where I poorly framed the interview. It was terrible. Like I should have been fired that day if it was one of those organizations that send people out for content. But we put it up and it got the most amount of, I think, prior. Yeah, that was the leading video on in their catalog, and it was just a simple, it was a simple edit, guys. It was literally like question pops up, we cut to a kilo. Like it was nothing. but that was something for me, because here I was trying to, navigate my waters, and that single-handedly. But I think where it all started, the foundation of it came at George Brown when I was in my sport and event marketing program, the post grad, and during my co-op, I worked in athletics, and OCAA, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not quite OUA CIS. So
Yeah.
we created a halftime show, and I did the in-game announcing, and I created this vibe, and I did that part-time for my co-op, and then they kept me on, I don't know why, for a year and a half, and we continued to create dope, fun content, and that basically was my launch pad into Ontario basketball, and then doing the thing, and then boom, you meet somebody like Nikhil, and you continue doing it, and here we are years later, and we're still working together. Um, Iron sharpens iron, so having
Mm-hmm.
him as an older brother, it's like working with both you and Faheem, right? It's you're only as good as your point guard.
Oh, I like that. I like it when I hear stories like this because it just shows that collaboration is key. Collaboration is king. For him knows that I talk it all the time. I'm like, two heads are better than one. Like, I just think collaboration is always going to help you be successful. Learning from other people, networking, meeting new people. That's how you grow. That's how you become or understand who you want to be, right? If you stick in the same circle, same thing, you're never ever going to be a better person or become who you should, who you're destined to be. So thank you for sharing that story about collaboration and actually executing and just, trying things that you weren't really confident in, but you still did it. And obviously you're still here. So congrats, man.
I appreciate that. If there's one thing that I want to leave listeners with, the one thing that you take maybe from my story, when I was studying at Humber, I was one of two visible minorities in the golf program at that time, and that I developed a lot of thick skin. But in that program, there was a careers in golf course where folks from industry would come in and speak to us. After every single one of those guest speakers, I would stand in line and shake hands, do the networking thing, get the email, figure out an angle. Sounds so bad, but what's my ask here? And I would always ask for an informational interview. An informational interview could be the determining factor between OSAP debt or your full-fledged entrepreneurship journey. So kids that are listening, always shoot your shot. If there's someone or something that you aspire to work towards or become, find the person and shoot the shot. And you may not get the yes right away, but keep going, because that is your carrot, because you want to be with those people. And you may not have to spend thousands of dollars doing post-secondary. You never know.
Mm-hmm. So Ray, you started the Ray Harripaul Creative, and I'm really excited even to discuss this with you. It's well faceted. We're talking photography, weddings, you pretty much anything to do with photography, but also products also. Like even simple things such as a product placement photo that a company may need for their product. You call it creative just because there's so many different facets in regards to being a creative. You're not just locked into just one box. Where with Ray Harripaul Creative, do you think you see the biggest opportunity for growth for you to apply your current skill sets to where you're going?
Wow, that's a great question. So for me, I want to produce, like I said, documentaries. I want to tell short stories. So that's where I want to end up. That's my North Star. And how I get there is working with smaller brands that are looking to, getting their story out there. And that in a way kind of helps me, tighten up areas of my business. So Ray Harripaul Creative is like a full one-stop shop for audio, video, podcasts, creative consulting, because I do dabble in everything, and I don't want to, you know, put myself in a box, right? I mean, you two host a show, but beyond that, you also produce content outside of Good Rookies, and you know, you guys breed this stuff. So working with the two of you is easy because you come from that world. Now, on the flip side, there are individuals that are slowly learning. So one of the things for me is the business stuff. So I've seeked out business mentors because I've got the creative stuff, right? That's all great, but at the end of the day, I don't want to be a starving creative. I want Ray Harripaul Creative to be something that I can give to my niece when she's of age, and maybe she doesn't have to go to post-secondary. You know what I mean? Like, I want the curse to end with me, and that's where I see Ray Harripaul Creative helping, right? I'm not limiting myself to just one style of content, right? Like
Fire. That was a whole bar. Sorry.
Why can't we create children's content? Why can't there be a Good Rookies cartoon? You know what I mean? Like, the world's our oyster, and now more than ever, we're a dime a dozen, but like we're in special demand now more than ever. And look out in the education space, because if I were to look in my crystal ball that I don't have, I see the Ivy Leagues and other colleges, community colleges across the world teaming up with content creators and helping them deliver their education. And I'm not saying it takes away from the, you know, in-person learning experience, but we learn with our devices. We learn by listening, we learn by watching on tablets. Like, gone are the days where I need to be fixed to a school desk and watching my prof use chalk on a chalkboard. We're so far past those days that, you know, we are going to be we are the precious commodity. And so, you know, we need to treat ourselves as that. And, you know, running a show is difficult. You all know, you have to research, you have to, like, it's work. Yeah, it looks great, but there's work. And the fact that you all are working, like, it's natural. Like I said, at the start of the pandemic, I dabbled in podcast consulting. And, you know, I got a couple of nibbles, but when folks ended up seeing the amount of work, because it's not my vision. Yeah, I know the technical stuff and I know how to help you get out and distribute, but it's not my vision. Like, I can't sit there and write why this tickles your fancy, because it doesn't tickle mine. But what I can do is help you get to the right audience base. Do you know what I mean? And so the fact that you fine folks have done what you've done during a pandemic proves to me that anything is possible, to quote the great Kevin Garnett.
Anything is possible.
Yo, I'm crying. No, but it's what you said is, Faheem, great question, by the way. What you said is really interesting, because it kind of triggered my memory of seeing Michelle Obama in Toronto, and everything you said. She was saying that she was talking about, because, you know, they started their own media company, and it was for that purpose, was to help individuals tell their story, because she's like, your story is important. Your story, Matt, your story can help other person's story. And she really pushed everyone to write, produce, do anything to create, because she's like, that's how we're going to be better as humans. So I'm just happy that you're already doing that, Ray, for us, because you inspire me and Faheem. Faheem always talks about how amazing you are and the things you're doing, and I'm learning more and more. But I think that you're definitely already a leader in this space. So I'm just happy that as a leader in this space, you're still learning. You're not just saying, I'm a leader, so I'm good. Like, you're actually always pushing the boundaries and pushing your creatives, pushing your talent, pushing your envelope. Because I think that's important to be a good creator, is to never ever be comfortable in your creation. It's always wanting to push yourself mentally and spiritually. So that's pretty dope. So, sorry, go ahead, Faheem.
Oh no! Last thing I said, what you and Ray were talking about in regards to the pandemic, and just how that does affect with Ray Harripaul Creative. So it merely makes me think about when we're saying about kids and tablets, right? Now I mean, it was a convenient fix because we had the infrastructure to do that. But just imagine if the pandemic happened, say, 20 years ago. What were we going to do with kids who were in school? We didn't have the infrastructure to say, hey, you know what, like go to your computer, or, you know what I'm saying? Um, like everything happens in its time, obviously. But
I know what they'll do for him. They would have purposely just mailed everyone their no, it's a mail thing. Everyone's getting a mail of what they gotta do, and they gotta mail in their projects and mail in everything by or drop it off. It'll be a drop off mail thing. Real talk. Am I lying, Ray? Ray?
No, like if you were sophisticated enough and you had access to a fax machine, you know, you could fax maybe your assignment in.
The old Wi-Fi.
Oh, man, that's a great question. Yeah, it 20 years ago. Wow.
Well, remember 20 years ago, it was 2002. AOL was out. The internet was out. But it wasn't, but it was slow as hell. But it was out. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think emails could attach that much files. So you would have to drop things off, right? You have to drop things off, but maybe you can communicate to a teacher through email for questioning. But I would say a drop-off document or stuff like that.
Right.
Isn't that when No Child Was Left Behind was implemented too? So we all would have been good. We all would have been good. Everyone passes.
Everybody passes.
Can't differentiate between here, and here. That's okay.
Oh my God. Actually, I'd be happy because in 2002, I would have been in university. Yeah. I'll be university at that time. So damn, that'd be great.
Dr. Nelly J. Dr. Nelly J back then.
Nah, I mean, I want to be no doctor. Nah, what they have to do? Oh, not my ministry. Shout out to all the doctors out there. Blessings, but it's not for me. Not for me. Good for y'all, but not for me.
Yeah, well, Ray, that's definitely why you're for the culture. We appreciate you coming in, dropping some jewels and some inspiration. And we have some exciting things coming up with Ray. That keep your ears glued to the streets, and we're excited about it.
Yep.
So that's for the culture. And you know what? Let's close it out with that's absurd.
That's absurd for him, bro. What was absurd this week? What was absurd?
Wow. Edgar Berlanga, up and coming WBO super middleweight, really running through his competition, kind of like a hot knife and butter, just really everyone bringing his way, slicing through them. He's at 20-0 right now. He had a very we could call it a tune-up fight, but definitely a fight that for an up and coming fighter had the boxing world kind of on edge to see how he's going to do. He actually has been banned for 6 months and fined $10,000 for an attempted bite of his opponent that the ref missed. Absurd. I just want to leave with this real quick. If it was just a regular boxer who really didn't have much of a pedigree that people are watching and it happened, it's still absurd, but I'd let it slide. Once you have somebody who has potential to be name brand, doing things like this. And when they asked him in the post press conference about it, he actually made light of it and made a Mike Tyson joke about it, which did not go over well with the boxing community. And he did go to Twitter or one of the social platforms 2 days later and did issue an official apology. But just, you have to handle yourself like a champion, and that's not championship material. Once again, absurd. Nelly J, what you got for me?
So I'm okay. So break this down. He got banned from boxing. So you're telling me all the boxing.
Yeah. So I guess we can call it a suspension for 6 months, but they use the word banned for 6 months. So
okay. So he's suspended for 6 months for an attempted bite. Yes.
So he technically, I guess he didn't get a chance to sink his teeth in.
This is so absurd.
But he made a reference. So he didn't go full vampire. But
He didn't go full Edward. Okay, so sorry, Edward is a as a vampire movie. Okay, so I'm just shocked because I like for you to bite someone in a boxing match. I don't what even compels you to say, you know what? F this. Now I know we all saw Mike Tyson, but Mike Tyson's a different you, right? Different you, like he different, right? Love him, but he's different. Mike, I want no smoke, bro. But the fact that this man tried to bite someone in today's boxing, right? I'm wondering if Jake Paul might do that in his box. Remember, his boxing matches are celebrity boxing matches. There's nothing, right? I'm curious if we'll ever see this type of energy in a celebrity boxing match because those are absolutely trash, but the funny as hell to watch. So anyway, absurd. I agree. It's wild. Thoughts, Ray?
That's no. In a post-pandemic world, you want to bite somebody? Like that's a little gross. But also too, like, why are you nibbling on man's ears in a boxing match, fam? Like what are you doing? Like a 6-month ban. I mean, we'll probably forget about it in 6 months' time. There'll probably be something else, but
right.
And yeah, I don't think like a Jake Paul or Logan Paul would because they've pretty much, transformed the way people look at boxing. But imagine they did. That'd be crazy.
That'd be so funny. Yeah. I don't think they would either, but it'd be funny if they did. I mean, hey, them boys do for the gram, right? So that's for the gram for sure.
For me, for Edgar though, it was the reference post fight that the man said. What was it? I almost did a Mike Tyson.
I almost did a Mike Tyson, right?
Like if admitting guilt was a person, it'd be Edgar.
But also, it's wrong. Like it's like, hey, I know it's bad, but I also think probably Edgar thought he would get away with it. That's what I think.
That's true.
Yeah, could be very much. Yeah, you're right.
And the question is,
has there entitlement?
Has there ever been any missed bites for him that you know of? Because you watch boxing more than I do. Have there been any missed bites in the past? I think we do an investigation. Because there's no way. No, I'm thinking about it now. There's no way there's only been one bite since Mike. I don't believe it. There gotta be some missed bites somewhere out there. Gotta be. Edgar, if I were you, I'd protest this.
I will look into that.
He was like, hey, he was like, hold up, is there? Oh man!
Creates an app that tracks bites or attempted bites.
Attempted bites.
We'll have to have a cat. You know how in the CompuBox they have jabs, power punches. They have a column for bites,
nibbles.
Nibbles.
Not the nibbles, yo. When he said nibbles, I cried. Ray, why are you nibbling on next man's ear?
But here's how smart Mike is. Shout out to Mike Tyson because we all know he's in cannabis. He has his edibles in little ears, in bite-sized ears. And he was asked if it's Evander. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But like, that's a genius marketing.
Genius. Hey, Mike, play innocent, bro. You innocent, Mike. You don't know nothing. You don't see nothing, bro.
Exactly.
No. Shout out.
It's the marketing team. It's not you, bro.
Definitely. Shout out to Mike Tyson. We want no smoke, and it's all love. You're not absurd. Edgar Berlanga is.
Yes. Speaking of Mike Tyson, remember Mike Tyson almost killed that youth from Toronto, the one that interviewed him? What's his name?
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Nathan Downer. He called him out on national television.
Yo, Nathan almost died that day, bro.
that I remember like it was yesterday. It happened on my birthday of all days. So I will never forget this because my thing was Mike's coming to Toronto. It's the first time the champ's been and he's doing a tour. And then you want to bring up stuff from the past. You're lucky his hands were sequestered.
Yo,
them things are lethal weapons.
Ray, listen, Ray. I watched that a couple months ago. It's as funny as it was the day it happened. Okay, it was that like, ages well. That aged well, boy.
I'm just happy it happened on a September 10th. Like that, if I'm ever feeling down, like I just go to that. And it's funny because I've seen Mr. Downer in the streets at times, and I've always wanted to be like, why did you do that? But I was like, you know what? This will live on the internet.
You to want to die that day? That's all. No, to me, Nathan Downer should have been on suicide watch. There's no way. No, he should have been on suicide watch. Why would you test that man, Mike Tyson? Do you not see how? Do you see him? My
Yeah.
gosh.
I think he probably felt comfortable that the cameras were there, but that was definitely, I have to say, that's a Canadian heritage moment. Definitely. By Mike Tyson, he blessed us with something. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So let's put this episode in the books.
Ooh, episode 98.
98.
Yo, Ray, you know the deal. We'd like to give our special guests like yourself a chance to do a shout out. So the floor is yours.
A shout out to anyone?
Anyone. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to shout you all too, because, yeah, this is just the beginning. Like Faheem alluded to, this is like that ad that keeps giving. There's more to come, and it's even bigger and better. And I'm happy and honored to be a witness and a part of the journey and the come up. And so thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh my God, Ray. That is so sweet. Well, my shout out is to you. Shout you out. Just meet you in Clubhouse. Just guys, like who Ray is now. Even when he's angry, he sounds like this. He's just like, he'll be like, guys, I'm just upset about this game. I'm really angry. I'm actually extremely pissed off. And you're like, are you sure though, Ray? Like, are you sure? Because I don't think you're pissed off, bro. But no, like Ray, mad cool. Love the energy, love the vibe. We look forward to working with you more and more, learning from each other, bouncing off things, and yeah, like definitely the beginning of something very, very great for sure. And I guess my second shout out is pretty corny, but it's not. But I want to shout out to all the 4 Canadian draftees. I know drafted back to back. It's kind of crazy how, like, you know what I'm saying? Like 6, 7, and then 31, no, 30, 31, 30, 31, like back to back. So big up to you guys. I tweeted y'all out as well, but you know, it's just great seeing more and more Canadian guys getting drafted. Of course, being drafted doesn't mean you're going to be getting playing time and all that stuff, but man, no, it doesn't mean it, right? Let's be real. Thanks. But it's still something that a lot of Canadian ball players can never, ever say. Okay, so big up to y'all. Congrats again. And I'll pass it over to Faheem. Shout out, bro.
Well, it's always nice to be invited to the dance, right? So just to say that they got drafted, that's something that no one can ever take away from you, right? So definitely. Yeah, I want to keep my shout out simple. I want to shout out Ray Harripaul. If you're not following him, please do tap into him on all social platforms. We'll have the link in there as usual. You know, he's a photographer, you know, whether it be portrait, professional branding, as we mentioned, for the culture, has the capabilities and the skills required for production, for a producer. Like I said, we got someone who's on the come up. So just keep your ears peeled to what Ray's got in the bag. I'll leave it at that. And let's put this episode in the books.
Y'all, you listen to episode 98.
98.
If you had a good time, you enjoyed yourself, okay, please like, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. Faheem.
We are on all platforms if you're looking for us, and adding and growing.
Ooh.
That's Good Rookies Podcast, episode 98. Keep your ears peeled to the news. And we out.
Peace.